Good afternoon. We'll continue the session. Arbitration, transaction and interrupt are the concepts what we are studying today. Okay, so the first one is arbitration. It's a process of allocating bus system for a requester. Okay, so there will be many requester. Out of many requester, we will give or we will allocate the bus system to only one processor. So this complete activity is called as arbitration. Okay. Okay, as we discussed yesterday, there will be a common bus system which is shared among multiple processors and resource called as memory and input output devices. Okay, so yesterday I have discussed this concept. So there will be multiple number of processors. So arbitration is among these processors whether this bus system should be given for which particular processor at any moment of a time. So this is decided by a particular this is a decision activity itself is called as arbitration. Okay, so now the second definition is bus tenure. So bus tenure means always timing. So this complete bus system, how much time it has been allocated for P1 plus how much time it has been allocated for P2 plus how much time it has been allocated for P3. So sometimes it is not compulsory that always P1 should get a first and P2 next and P3 the third. It based upon priority. So that means the rank. If work of P2 is very high priority than P1 and P3, so bus system will be allocated first for P2 or processor 2. So like this, one thing sure is processor will definitely get a allocation on this bus system. So now we have to keep account of the time, how much time a particular processor has got access to the bus system. So that is called as bus tenure. Okay, next there are two types of arbitration. One is central arbitration and second one is distributed arbitration. So we studied central data storage and distributed data storage devices and all. So similar type of concept, central arbitration, where a main device or arbiter will decides for which processor bus system should be allocated. So that is done in centralized manner. So distributed means every accessing parameter or accessing processor will have their separate arbiter. So that is what basic definitions. So let's start the first one, central arbitration activity. Here there will be one central arbiter which is responsible for allocating bus system to a processor based on the word scenario is important. So scenario, why I am telling is we will try to take a different scenarios and we'll try to analyze how it works. Before we start, let's study how the architecture is. See here, this is called central bus arbiter. So this is a centralized activity. So all masters means processors, are interconnected with each other through, this word is important, daisy chained cascade. This is a architecture of connecting processors. Okay, so daisy chained cascade. Okay, so they all are interconnected with daisy chained cascade method. Here you can see this bus. Okay, this is a daisy chained interconnection. This is also daisy chained cascade. Like this, daisy chained cascade. So they all are connected. So their activity continuously monitored by central bus arbiter. Okay, so now say for example the processor scenario 1, processor 1 only wants to get access on this data transfer bus, only one master. So rest all are not interested to send data or collect data. So how it will do? It will send one request to the central arbiter. So central arbiter will decide, is it possible to give or allocate master 1 this DT bus, data transfer bus. Since no other processors are competing, so we can easily give it, hence it will grant the access. Once it grants the access, master bidirectionally collects the information or transfers the information. Okay, transfers information. So scene one special case, master 1 has requested, okay, but because of some interrupt or because of some other processors might be already using bus system, so bus system is not free for master 1. So what this central arbiter will do, see, this is also bidirectional, please remember this. So it will send busy signal. So central arbiter sent busy signal. So what master 1 should do now? Master 1 should wait till the bus system engaged by any of the processor gets free. If not, it has to give high priority activity. Only then forceful free will take place and it can get a access over data transfer bus. If not, he has to wait till already allocated data transfer bus gets freed. Okay, case 3 or scenario 3, master 1 is accessing the data transfer bus. Suddenly master 2 will come with a high priority task like printing. So what the work is now is, it will also send a request. Now this is called request 1 and this is called request 2. So now central arbiter will decide whose priority is more, whether request 1 priority is more or request 2 priority is more. It will come to conclusion that request 2 has a more priority. So what it has to do? It has to send bus busy signal to master 1 and bus grant, can you see here, bus grant signal to master 2. So that means what? Master 2 has got granted to access the data transfer bus. So here master 1 is pushed back compared with master 2. So now master 2 sends a data either to the IO device called printer and it will get a work executed. So once it finishes, what it has to do? It has to inform the central arbiter will come to know master 2's work is finished. So what it will do is, for master 2, in the yesterday class we have discussed, once activity of data transfer is done, it is responsibility of master 2 make bus free or unallocated, so that now all the data transfer bus is totally free. Once it is totally free, the processor may continue with master 1 activity which was paused before allocating to master 2. So like this we have to think about different scenarios and we should able to explain the different scenarios. Here the decision is done by central bus arbiter. Okay, next, what do you mean by bus request? Okay, we have to define 3 definitions. What do you mean by bus request signal? This is a line or a signal through which master sends a request to central arbiter. Can you see here? This is a bus request. Always it is from master towards arbiter, central arbiter, from master towards arbiter. So this is a request. Who has to request? processors or masters. To whom to request is central bus arbiter is a destination. So next, what do you mean by bus grant signal? Actually we cannot see here bus grant, we can see here this is a unidirectional. Okay, bus grant. Who has got granted? Who has got granted among many requester? Who all are the requesters? Probably master 1, master 2, master 3, master n. These all are the requester. Among these all n, there may be few or 1 or 2. Actually who is a requester and who has allocated, that is sent or that is given answer by bus arbiter via this daisy chained cascade. So daisy chained cascade, you can see here, this is a word important. Okay, next, this is how the second signal is, that is bus grant. Okay, third signal, bus busy. Bus busy. So this is also it is with respect to from the central arbiter towards the processor. So if a processor is presently engaging a bus system, exactly in the same time the new processor has requested for bus system, that time it will check the priority. If earlier executing processor priority is more than newly arrived activity, then for the newly requested processor, central arbiter should respond in bus busy signal way. So newly arrived processor should come to know more priority work is already executing, so it has to wait. So that is done by bus busy signal. Next one. So this I mentioned, all masters are connected with each other through daisy chained cascade technique. So next one. So if it is not possible to maintain a common, so shall we go for okay. So if allocation and all are this method, so how the request we are sending, are the request also central or independent? Requests are independent. Why? See here, who will send a request? Master 1 will send a request. So here you can see master 1 will send a request, master 2 will send a request. There may be bus request line common, but the requests are independent. They are not like centralized. They are master 1 to master n, all are not sending request at a time. Okay, and also knowingly they will not send. Okay, so sending request will be independent, and also how the grants will be, grants will also be independent. Why? Because what is a basic definition of central arbitration is allocate bus system to a processor at any time. A processor means we should not it is not possible to allocate processor, it is not possible to allocate bus system for multiple processors at a time. So that means what? Grants is what? Grants is independent. We cannot grant bus system for multiple processors at a time. So that is also independent. So, and how the granting is done, I mentioned the word priority. So if it is a more priority, definitely that will get granted for arbitration request. So this is how the central arbiter works. Please make a note. Okay, so bus request is forwarded with the grant. If it is possible to grant, so directly data transfer will start. If grant is not possible, what is the only left out activity? Sending busy signal. If it is a busy, wait for some time, after that start responding to the grant after the specific time of busy, but at any moment of time definitely bus system will be released. Once it is released, for next request you grant. Okay, so let me explain with one real world example, that is reservation of bus seat or the train seat. So what happens? I will request, if seats are available, I will be granted with a seat. If those are not available, my request will be kept in waiting state. If somebody makes it free, somebody makes who has got earlier reservation, that is confirmed, if they free it definitely I will get the seat allocated, so I will get granted a little later. So once it is done, request is completely serviced or accepted and seats are provided. So this is how the general analysis. So next one, distributed arbitration. Okay, here you can see distributed arbitration means, so for everything, for every master we have separate bus request and bus grant, separate bus request and bus grant, separate bus request and bus grant. So here it is distributed. Processing may be at the central, but there is no common line who will carry request and grant like the centralized. Can you see here, grant is a common line, request is also common line, BUSY is also common line, but here in a distributed, request and grant, again request and grant, again request and grant separately, request and grant separately. So once a master one sends request, okay, sends a request and it has been granted, then it will directly starts a data transfer activity. So during this time no other master will get granted, but can they request? Yes, they can request, but they will not show, definitely they will not get granted. Okay, so when they will get a bus BUSY, when this data transfer bus is allocated for master 1 with high priority, during this time master 2 comes with and work with least priority, definitely master 2 gets a bus BUSY signal. Okay, bus BUSY signal. So here just difference is separate or exclusive lines for request and grant for separate. Okay, okay, so each potential master has its own arbiter. Okay, arbiter in the sense they have their separate line for transferring a data. Okay, if there exist multiple request exist means competition to get a control over bus system, then a request with a high priority gets allocated. This is what I have already explained. If high priority task arrives, definitely it is going to get that, bus system will be allocated for that request. Okay, so now there are two small sections in the distribution. What do you mean by transaction mode? How the data transfer will take place? Okay, data transfer will take place in two methods. One is address only method, another one is packet data transfer method. Address only means what? Here we are not at all sending data, we are sending only address. Okay, and packet data, that means first we will send address, then we will send a data. With example I will try to explain this concept. Address only. Okay, see here, I want to read temperature from temperature sensor, okay, connected to the some system. So I have not yet read any temperature so far, so it is a first read. So from where we are reading is a temperature sensor. Okay, now I will request a temperature sensor, that where is the address of temperature sensor connected. Here data is not sending, I am collecting the data. So all first step activities belongs to address only, definitely. Okay, all first step like initialization of sensor, initialization of actuator, initialization of automatic braking system, initialization of automatic Google search engine or search engines, these all are address. See now how we will start searching a result is, first we will give results.vtu.ac.in. here it is address only. After this we will send a data called as USN. We will click on what type of result we want, then we will give data, but very first moment what we will do is only address. So that is called as first type of transaction. So what is second type of transaction or second step? Packet data transfer. Here address is sent, then data will be sent, address and data will be sent. So once we know what you mean by where the temperature sensor is connected and its address, so henceforth what we will do, what was the earlier data and present data, like that we will continuously send a address as well as data. So one important thing is here this packet is fixed length. Okay, packet will be fixed length. in which address and data are packed together. Okay, coming for the next, connection transaction and split transaction. Connected transaction means master's request and slave's response continuously it will take place. Continuously means one request corresponding response, again request response, it will take place continuously, just like address and data sent together. The second is split transaction. Split means separately sends request and response. Okay, request set of activities is different and response set of activities are different. So this is what is called as split transaction. Okay, so the next one is interrupt mechanism. So interrupt mechanism, I have given, I will suggest you to go through with all the concepts what you have studied with help of interrupt in your embedded system as well as the previous microprocessor subjects. Okay. Okay, this is what we have mentioned about distributed arbiter system. Okay, and its explanation. Distributed, each master has their own arbiter. Then if there are multiple processors trying to acquire over bus system, only one with a high priority will gets allocated to access bus system. Okay, so there are two type of data transactions, only address. Second is packet data. Packet data means address plus data. Only address means we will transfer only the address. Okay, the one more concept is two type of transactions, connection and split. Connection means continuously we will send one master's request and slave's response continuously, whereas in a split we will make all request one set and all response another set, and we will send all request through request line and response through response lines. Okay, that is what here it will be working. Okay, now the last concept for today is standard requirements. So according to IEEE, so how we have to design arbitration with some of the standard expectations or features. So architecture here is, it should be processor oriented. So that means which type of processor and which type of memory interface, bus connection we are using, those all should be familiar with each other. Like we cannot use i3 processor with 8-bit addressing, because i3 processor has 32-bit or more than 32-bit addressing. So we cannot choose 8-bit programming address or programming language. So like that, what is a method of programming and on what hardware we are executing, both should be matching. Next one, timing protocol for data transfer. So at here, for data transfer, how much time we need to send a request, how much time we have to collect the response, and what is the total time to data total time taken to transfer a data. So for that we should maintain one proper protocol. If we want high speed data transfer, for that also we have to send refer or prepare one particular protocol. So that means what, here we cannot randomly work on any speed of a data transfer. There should be common data transfer, and sometime it will be high speed data transfer required. That time, for that reason also we should able to design separate protocol. Next, the system should be reliable. That means even in the absence of user, if user is busy or if he is not communicating with the system on time, system should be able to identify or collect the data, and it should work on its own, like automatic. It is not like user is not present, so computer should not be idle. So it should be it should do its work on its own if possible. So fault tolerant, if any mistake is done by the user, computer or the architecture should identify the mistake and give the instruction to the user, so that he will not continue with the mistake. He will not continue with the mistake and creates a problem to the system. So the system should support 32-bit or 64-bit data transfer as well as address transfer. So the meaning of this is, why we are taking only 32 or 64-bit is, now when this architecture is designed and we are studying, 64-bit addressing is the highest, but today we have 128 bits of addressing. So we have to say now this also as 128 bits for today's architectures. Okay, so the last word is compatible message passing protocol. So message passing protocols between processes, activity, pages, so many scenarios. So in every situation there should be appropriate message passing protocols, so that resource deadlock will not come to the resource deadlock will not happens. See, what happens if we don't maintain message passing protocols appropriately is, so really whenever a common resource is shared among many processors, one processor is presently engaging, it will send a message to next requester that I am going to use it for next some amount of a time. So it will be some sending a message to centralized hub. So hub will inform rest all users who want to use the same resource that after this much amount of a time resource will be free, so that if they are ready to wait, they will wait, otherwise the remaining processors will find alternative way. If message passing protocol is not compatible, so they keep waiting, or they may not come to the waiting processors or processes will not come to know when the resource will be available, so they keep waiting, and that creates deadlock. So to avoid such a situation, there should be a best message passing protocol. Okay, so that's it for the day. Thank you.